He stood in front of the king, knowing in just a few seconds he could be executed. Because 1 year ago, he made a decision that could have destroyed everything. He had asked for 1 year to do something impossible, and now that time was over. But what happened in that 1 year is what changed his entire fate. A long time ago, in a powerful kingdom, there lived a king, strict, respected, and unforgiving. In his royal court served 2 loyal attendants, trusted and always by his side. But one day, a visiting king arrived, and during his welcome, these 2 attendants made a serious mistake. A mistake the king could not tolerate. Furious, the king stood before his court and declared, "They will be executed immediately." The entire court fell silent. The 2 men fell to their knees, begging, pleading, "Your Majesty, please forgive us." But the king showed no mercy. As they were being taken away, one of them suddenly broke free, ran toward the throne, and said, "Your Majesty, grant me one final wish." The king paused. "Speak," the man said. "Give me 1 year, and I will teach your horse to fly." For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter filled the court. Even the king smirked. "A flying horse?" The man stepped forward, his voice steady. "Yes, Your Majesty. Think about it. Every war you fight, you win with strength. But imagine if your enemies saw you riding a flying horse in the sky. No army could stand against you. No kingdom could challenge you. You wouldn't just win battles, you would rule them all." The court fell silent again. This time, no one laughed. The king leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the man. "And if you fail?" The man replied calmly, "Then you may execute me." The king leaned back, thinking. Then he said, "Very well, you have 1 year." The other servant was executed that very day. As they were being separated, he whispered, "You fool, you've only delayed your death." But the first man smiled and said, "No, I didn't buy 1 year. I created 4 chances." "What do you mean?" He replied, "What if, within this 1 year, the king himself dies? Then tell me, who would be left to execute me? Or perhaps fate takes my life before the execution day ever comes. And honestly, no one can say what might happen to the horse in an entire year. But if none of that happens, maybe I might actually teach the horse to fly." But he didn't know. This year was not going to be that simple. And so the year began. Days passed into nights, and nights into endless mornings. Time was moving forward, but his fate was standing still. The king was alive, the horse was alive, and he was still waiting for the day that would decide everything. At first, he hoped for a miracle, but slowly that hope faded, and in its place came something else: fear. What if nothing changes? What if the final day arrives and he has nothing to show? The thought began to haunt him. Every sunset felt like a warning. Every sunrise felt like one step closer to death. But instead of running, he chose to stay. Every single day, he went to the stables. He worked harder than ever before. He cleaned the ground, fed the horse, trained it, talked to it, understood it. He failed again and again, but he didn't stop. He even began helping the king, serving him with more loyalty than ever before. Not because he was afraid, but because he had changed. The man who once looked for escape was now looking for growth. 1 year later, the entire kingdom gathered, waiting to witness a miracle or a death. The king looked at him and said, "So, can my horse fly?" The man stepped forward, calm, fearless, and said, "Your Majesty, maybe the horse did not learn to fly, but I learned something more important." The court fell silent. I learned that time is not given to escape, but to change. In this 1 year, I worked harder than ever. I stayed loyal, and I never ran away, even when I had the chance. The king watched him closely for a long moment. Then he stood up and walked toward him. The entire court held its breath. The king said, "A man who values time deserves a second chance." He turned to the guards. "Set him free." The court was stunned. The man fell to his knees, tears in his eyes. His life returned to him. Sometimes, life doesn't test your strength. It tests your mindset. And when you choose growth over fear, even destiny can change.